paranormal phenomena, haunted homes, and ghost tales are often considered to be the stuff of urban legend. Nonetheless, the legal canon has preserved at least one case involving such a subjective and notoriously hard-to-prove issue. Just 10 minutes away, over the Tappan Zee Bridge over the Hudson River, is the first American home to be officially recognized as haunted. This house is located in Sleepy Hollow, the setting for Rip Van Winkle's The Legend of the Headless Horseman, and is easily accessible by car. The home's status as a legally haunted property is shocking in and of itself, but the fact that it's a Victorian and located near Sleepy Hollow may be less so. Is the area prone to extraterrestrials because of some quirk of its geography? A very desirable cul-de-sac in the commuting town of Nyack is Veta Place. The horizontal wood paneling adorns the three-story clapboard Victorian at number 1, which dates back to 1890. Almost every room and window offers breathtaking views of the river from its hilltop position, which is set back behind a front lawn. A fenced-in pool, a lovely wraparound porch, and a gorgeous tower are some of its highlights. Once inside, you'll find 8 bedrooms and 4.5 bathrooms. Despite its huge rooms, the property was thoughtfully laid up to make you feel right at home with its many nooks and little areas cut out of the bigger ones. Stained glass windows, hardwood flooring, and ornate moldings are just a few examples of the period elements. Lucky for us, one Veta hasn't been the scene of any tragic or well-recognized killings. Rather, the legends of the hauntings originated with an essay titled Our Haunted House on the Hudson, published in Reader's Digest in the middle of the 1970s. The piece was written by Helen Ackley, a resident of the area, who was married to George Ackley and the mother of 4 children who are now adults. While the family lived, happy, in the house, she wrote about their numerous spectral roommates in it. Some hauntings were experienced by both parents. Notably, George claims to have seen 2 ghostly feet, one wearing moccasins, pass him in the corridor above the staircase he was standing on, while Helen, who was painting the doorway, saw a man appear dressed in colonial or Revolutionary War clothing. Every night, something would shake Cynthia's bed until she gently begged the room to let her sleep in. She was a high school student at the time, what most people would find scary. The Ackleys really embraced. They saw it as a sign that the spirits were all kind, and they eventually came to think of them as family. When Helen first arrived at the home, the neighborhood youngsters joked, "Lady, you know you just bought a haunted house, right?" Since they felt the place was haunted even before they moved there. Helen was prepared to downsize in 1989, some 25 years after the Ackleys had moved into one Veta Place and 15 years after the story had been published, confirming the house's haunted image. As a result, she chose Ellis Realty's Richard Ellis to list the residence. Helen was overjoyed when a young couple named Jeffrey and Patricia Stambovsky expressed their eagerness to begin the contract process for the property, which was advertised at somewhat under $800,000. While Ellis recalls that Helen did reveal the haunted nature in casual conversations, and according to Cynthia, she even refused to sign the contract until she had a conversation with the Stambovskys about it. The Stambovskys assert that a contractor had informed them about the local folklore and that they would not have wanted to purchase the property if they had known. Even though Jeffrey has always said he doesn't believe in ghosts, he does think that the market may be influenced by those who do. What the Stambovskys learned from Helen and Ellis, if anything, will remain a mystery as long as these encounters are not well recorded. Helen got the down payment, but soon after she found out the Stambovskys wanted out. They sued her for intentionally misrepresenting the home's condition by failing to reveal the spirits. Helen was originally exempt from the need to inform the Stambovskys about the haunted home tales, and the court rejected Stambovsky's claim that Helen's tales diminished the property's worth. Caveat emptor, or buyer beware in Latin, was the guiding principle under which New York State functioned. In other words, before buying a home, it is the buyer's, and not the seller's, obligation to do their research and ask any questions they may have. The court reasoned in his decision that hiring a clairvoyant would just add additional complexity to the already lengthy process of buying a property, which already involves an appraiser, contractor, realtor, and others. The Stambovskys were dissatisfied with the outcome and took their case to the highest court in New York, the Supreme Court. The original rejection was overturned by Justice Rubin and two other justices who wrote the majority judgment, which held that the buyer beware proviso shouldn't be used here as the flaw isn't tangible. The seller should disclose any stigmatized information, such as a history of criminal activity or a negative reputation in the area, since these factors might reduce the property's market value. Since Helen had already promoted the myth to the public and media, she would be unable to revise or contradict it while under oath. The court specifically stated, having reported the ghost's presence in both a national publication and the local press, defendant is estopped to deny their existence and, as a matter of law, the house is haunted. According to legal expert Eric Goldman, Helen owed the Stambovskys that same level of promotional effort because of her conduct before the litigation. He continued by saying that Goldman doesn't think the court was really considering creating a new precedent. To find a fair and equitable resolution, the court seemed to have treated it as a one-off type of ruling, as the author puts it. This particular line out of a court opinion is in the top 10 most remarkable statements I've ever seen a court make, he adds, adding that although the court did apply the standard as if the house were legally haunted, ghost stories rarely make it into courtrooms, especially not as verifiable evidence, because the public can and does easily misunderstand such claims. At Santa Clara University, Goldman teaches a variety of courses, including those on advertising law, property law, and contracts law. Despite the new interpretation of property disclosure rules having just been in place for a few months, he emphasized that it is still pervasive. Since buyers in the modern day have access to a wealth of information about potential homes, he opines that things would most certainly turn out differently in this era of digitalization. Since then, one Veta Place has changed owners several times. Ellis speculates that the repeated changes may be due to the energy there, since he finds it rare for a property like this to change hands so often. However, he believes it's not vital to report a supposed haunting. However, not a single one of the succeeding owners, including some famous people, has ever claimed to have seen specters. Adam Brooks, who co-wrote Practical Magic's script, resided there in the late 90s. He was succeeded by Ingrid Michaelson, who remained a resident until her 2015 sale, when it was marketed for $1.9 million. She never once brings up anything supernatural, and she certainly didn't hold the spirits responsible for their departure. Matisyahu, a musician, also resided there for 4 years, from 2014 to 2019.